Part two, welcome back. So let's go ahead and go through these challenges for this essay project. So for this essay project, we are challenged to write an essay with a coherent and purposeful structure and organization that resists the limiting nature of the 5-paragraph essay. So this is something that we are working on in Major Essay Project 1. We wanted to make sure that the structure of our essay was very purposeful. We were really thinking consciously about the way that we organized our points, how we organized them, in which order, etc. Coherent meaning things connect logically, right? It all makes sense logically. One point logically connects to the next. Purposeful meaning that we're thinking consciously about that. And when we say it resists the limiting nature of the 5-paragraph essay, it means that we're not falling into the kind of old methods that we're used to from the 5-paragraph essay. So we're getting rid of all of that stuff, right? We're not falling into that. So we're challenged to puzzle through confusing or interesting ideas and concepts to push the limits of our thinking, seeking to use writing as a way of learning for us. So this, I understand, is a little bit nebulous, but essentially what we're talking about here is where we want to make sure that we're treating this essay project as a way for learning, a way for us as the writer to learn something. So you're taking your reader on that journey of how you came to a greater understanding of something, right? So we want to make sure that we're again, contending with complexity, we're embracing confusion, we're not shying away from the gray areas of an issue. We're trying to make greater sense of things, but still grappling with complex ideas. We're challenged to cite at least 6 relevant and credible texts, 4 of which must come from the library's online databases. So again, that's mentioned this earlier. So we need to have at least 6 relevant and credible texts or sources, 4 of which coming from the online databases. That's one of the things that we're challenged to do. We're challenged to incorporate textual evidence from our selected sources, integrating quotations effectively, using signal phrases to introduce quotations, and providing context for our readers. Textual evidence means that it's evidence from the text, right? So we're actually including quotations from the sources we're using. We're providing paraphrased material, so we might paraphrase portions of some of the sources that we're dealing with, summarizing those things. When we do have quotations, we're introducing them with what's called a signal phrase. So an example of that would be X states, according to X, and then you have your quotation, X states, and you have your quotation. It's a way of attaching the quotations to your writing. And also we want to make sure that we're providing context for our readers. It's a good chance that your readers haven't read all of the sources you're working with, and so if they're unfamiliar with a particular source, they're going to need some background information about where that quotation from that source is coming from or what it's referring to. Otherwise they'll be lost. Like, what's that quotation mean? I don't get it. Wait, who's this person that we're referring to now? We want to make sure that we're providing that background information, that context that fills the reader in, so they don't need to go read that whole source to figure out what we are talking about. We're challenged to put our sources into conversation with our own ideas. How can we synthesize these different sources with our own ideas? So this word right here, synthesize. Let's all say that. Synthesize. Come on, say it. Did you say it? Synthesize. It's fun. Synthesize. So what that means to synthesize means to take pieces from different sources and put them together to create something new. So that's what we mean when we say put our sources into conversation with our own ideas. It means that we're treating our sources as though they're all speaking with one another and that they're also speaking with our ideas in the essay, right? We're connecting these different pieces together in order to synthesize them to create those new ideas. A good analogy I like to use for synthesis, which is the noun form of synthesize, which is the verb form, is cooking or baking in particular. So to synthesize when we're baking a cake, so when we lay all the ingredients out on our counter that go into a cake, so we have our flour, we have our sugar, eggs, etc., just laying all those ingredients on the counter by themselves next to each other doesn't make the cake, right? We need to combine them in the appropriate amounts at the appropriate time, appropriate temperatures. It takes time. So a lot of things that are involved in that, and then the synthesized product is the cake, right? So the thing that came from all those pieces coming together. So our sources are kind of like the ingredients. We're trying to combine these different things to create a new idea, which ultimately is what our argument is. We're challenged to think about our audience and our purpose for writing this. What's our rhetorical situation? How does this influence the way we approach our essay? Remember that our tone should be invitational, not confrontational. So I've mentioned this before when we were talking about Major Essay Project 1, rhetorical situation. That is the situation that a writer finds themselves in any time they sit down to write something, and it's going to change every time they sit down to write something, right? This essay project is different than Major Essay Project 1. There are a lot of different things that are involved, right? We've learned more from Habits of the Creative Mind. You guys have already submitted your first major essay project. That thing is, you've already written that. Now we have this new one. There are a whole new set of conditions and characteristics that involved in this rhetorical situation, and so that's going to influence the way that you compose your essay. So who is your audience? I know me, I'm like the main audience, but you want to envision a wider audience, right? So an audience of your peers, an audience of people who are interested in this topic, maybe even some of the authors of the sources that you're using, those could be potential members of your audience. So what do all of these different members of your audience need to know? What are their expectations? All of those things are going to factor into how you compose this, right? And again, we want to make sure that our tone is invitational, so we're inviting our reader along, not confrontational, meaning we're not yelling at a reader and trying to prove that we're right about something. We're challenged to write more than 8 purposeful and organized paragraphs. More than 8. Okay, so that is one way, one mechanism that we're building in to get us out of the 5-paragraph essay structure. So more than 8 purposeful and organized paragraphs. Of course, you can write, well, I mean, obviously more than 8, so at least 9, but you could, 10, 12, 13, if that's what you see fit for your project, that would be great. We're challenged to create a purposeful title that alludes to the focus of our essay and follows the title:/subtitle format. Now I'm going to post resources about this and explain it, but this is a convention of academic writing that I would like you guys to get in the habit of doing for all of your classes, because it's something that really it shows a level of professionalism and helps with the credibility of your essay project. Oh look, someone's online. Anonymous Wolverine. Who's that? They're anonymous, but it's one of you all. But like I said, I'm going to post some resources on how to do that, but something that we're adding to. So in the first essay, you were to create a purposeful title that alludes to the focus of your essay, but also now we're adding this new layer to it. We're challenged to show ownership and pride over our work, taking care to eliminate major or distracting spelling, grammatical, and typographical errors. So again, going back to what I've mentioned before, we want to make sure that the finished product is a good representation of the work that we put into this essay project. Again, whether we like it or not, people judge us based on the work that we produce. So we want to make sure that the work that we do produce is going to be a good reflection of us, right? So take ownership, show that ownership, take pride in what you produce and the work that you make, the things you put into the world. Be responsible for them, right? So one way to do that with a piece of writing is just to make sure that you're eliminating major or distracting spelling, grammatical, and typographical errors. We're challenged to write or format our essays according to MLA guidelines, 12-point Times New Roman font, double-spaced 1-inch margins on all 4 sides with a properly formatted works cited page. So this stuff is nothing new. Same challenge for essay project number or major essay project 1. But with this one, we will definitely have a works cited page because we'll be working with sources, right? So we definitely need that. Okay, so our due dates. We have a few different due dates here. Now this right here, it says ANBIB, that's short for annotated bibliography, and there's going to be a separate prompt for that, but it is a part of Major Essay Project 2. Okay, so it's a part of it, it just has its own prompt just to break it down, right? So the first entry of the annotated bibliography is due Thursday, July 16th. Yeah, July 16th through Canvas by midnight. The second and third entries of the annotated bibliography are due Sunday, July 19th via Canvas by midnight. Draft 1 of Major Essay Project 2 is due Tuesday, the 21st of July, and that will be 3 full pages in length, due by midnight through Canvas. Draft 2 of Major Essay Project 2 is due Thursday, the 23rd of July, and that will be 5 full pages in length. And then the polished draft is the very last thing that's due Tuesday, July 28th, and that will be 6 full pages in length via Canvas by 11:59 p.m. Now, some of you might be wondering, like, wait a second, I thought our class ended Monday the 27th. And yes, technically that's true, but I figured we can have an extra day because I don't need to submit final grades for a few days after the class is officially ended. So I wanted to make sure that you had enough time to be able to work on that. So it's due Tuesday, the 28th of July. And that will be the 6 full pages, of course. Okay, note, for this major essay project, you must submit all components by expected deadlines in order for this project to be considered complete. If you cannot meet an expected deadline for any one of these components, refer to the project deadlines and late submissions policy in the syllabus. So what's my policy on late submissions? Y'all should know by now. If you don't, go ahead and take a look at that syllabus. But this is important, so we need to submit all 5 of these components in order for this essay project to be considered complete. Okay? So make sure that we're budgeting our time, we're staying on top of this stuff to make sure that we get it all completed. Additional note. In our writing, we are encouraged to embrace confusion and contend with complexity. Approach your essay with these attitudes in mind. Rather than try to show your reader what you already know, try to show your reader how you worked your way through something that you didn't already know. You're not trying to prove that you're right about something. Use your writing as a way of learning for you. Okay, so this is a really important note, and I think it will influence the whole approach to this essay project. Again, you're not trying to prove that you're right about something or persuade or convince your reader. You're trying to show your reader how you worked your way to greater understanding, or you worked your way through something that you didn't already know. Okay, so that should be reflected in your writing. Well, I've been jawing on for a while, but if you guys have any questions, you can send me a message on Canvas, or you can attend the next virtual office hours session, or if we needed to, we can even arrange an individual Zoom session. All you need to do is reach out, let me know. All right, y'all.